Hello, welcome to another episode. I'm your host, Sally McRae, and I am solo today. My better half will be back on the next episode, but I just want to give a shout out and a wave to everyone that is watching either on YouTube or Spotify. I appreciate you being here today. For those of you that have tuned in because you are either in the middle of a race or a long run, and maybe a friend referred this episode to you, and you are excited just to dive into the meat of this podcast, which is 4 mental tools to use when a race gets challenging. I am going to get started here in just a minute. You can even fast forward if you want. But today's episode is very powerful, and I hope it's something that you find useful for you and whatever goal it is that you're working toward. Again, if you are in the middle of the race, Sally, your friend here, is with you, and I hope that the words that I'm going to say encourage you to keep moving forward. So before I get started, I just want to tell you this show is brought to you by my app, the Sally McRae Strength app, where you can also find a mental toughness category in there, in addition to lots of other programs, whether that's my 50K training program, my 4 or 6 week run and strength programs. And then there's several or dozens of categories for whatever it is that you need, whether that's to strengthen your knees, do some mobility and stretching, 8-minute strength workouts. There's lots of great stuff in there. And there's a lot more stuff that's going to be rolling out in the next few months. This is one of the best ways that you can support my work. You can find the link in the show notes. It is $99 for a year, which comes out to a little bit more than $8 a month. Or you can also just do the monthly, which is $14.99 a month. But know that all of that helps support my work. So thank you so much if you're already in the app. I appreciate you. If you have been in the app before and if you want to share that with friends, please do, because the app is great, not just because of the workouts that I have in there, but it's awesome for all the other stuff that's in there too. So there's hundreds of other trainers, including my good friends Nick and Steph Bear. And there's all different types of programs for whatever it is that you're training for and for whatever stage you're in your life. So make sure you check that out. And again, thank you for those of you that are already in there. And shout out to those of you that are doing the mobility challenge. This is day 18. So you're doing awesome. I've been tracking everyone that's been showing up each day and consistently putting that in. For those of you that weren't able to do the mobility challenge this time around, that program will always be in the app, and it's awesome. It's like 6 to 8 minutes of your day, and it absolutely changes your body. You'll notice a difference after those 31 days. So check it out. All right, now I'm going to dive in to the meat of this podcast. It's one of my favorite things to talk about. It is one of my probably the number one thing that I'm asked about, whether I go to speak to a large audience or one-on-one with somebody. I do talk a lot about mental toughness and really just our mental game. And so today's topic is near and dear to my heart. And I've come up with just 4. I have a lot of other tools that are in my mental toolbox, but I always talk about this with particularly athletes. But whatever goal that you are training for in life, you can use these as well. And so the topic today, 4 mental tools to use when a race gets challenging, is very specific to those of you that are pushing through a hard race, whether right now or you have a race coming up or you've just signed up and have started training. Make sure you listen to this again, save it in your downloads, favorite it. Like I said, make sure that you share it, because I know that there's a lot of good in this, and that really is my goal in everything I do, is just to help and guide and hopefully provide some encouragement for whoever listens to this podcast or any of the content that I put out. So when the going gets tough, the mind can be your greatest ally. So here are the 4 mental toughness tactics or tools that are really going to help you power through and finish a race. Now, my first mental tool is one of my favorites, and I tell this to athletes of all levels as they begin a training program, and then I reiterate it during race week. As always, be aware as to how you can apply these tools to your everyday life. So, far outside of a running race, you can apply this to many different areas. So, the first one is my favorite one. Expect it to be hard, but don't believe you are not capable to overcome. I'm going to say it one more time. Expect it to be hard, but do not believe that you're not capable to overcome. You are. Okay. So for those of you running along right now, we're just going to go out the gate with that. You are capable of overcoming anything that is presented in your life is there for a reason, and it's there to make you stronger. It's there to make you better. It's there to help you grow. And who knows, maybe that challenge is there so that it offers hope for somebody else that needs to work through it another day. There are going to be people watching and listening to your story and to your experiences, even if it's one person in your entire life, whether that's somebody in your home or a neighbor or somebody that you work with. Your life and your goals and whatever it is that you are working toward aren't meant 100% for you. And so you are a light, even in this challenge, even when things get tough. What you go through and how you choose to react, how you choose to respond in that moment is very powerful. And that's going to help you continue to move forward in the days to come. So see it as training. Okay. So there's nothing worse than getting to the middle of a race and telling yourself, oh my gosh, I didn't think it would be this hard. Or I can't believe how hard I trained and how bad I'm doing. Or this is not my day. When we act surprised by challenges in a race, we are communicating to ourselves that we weren't prepared. And now we're scrambling for a solution. And then the inevitable starts to happen. We start slipping into the negative self-talk cycle, which then leads to hopelessness. And what happens when you're beating yourself up and you're hopeless in a race? Yep, you guessed it. You're more likely to slow down significantly, and your chances of dropping out of the race altogether drastically increase. When you start slipping down the negative slide, it's really hard to stop. This is why this first tool, expect it to be hard, is one of the biggest tools in my mental toolbox. Let me strongly point out, I'm not telling you to look for challenges and be cynical. I don't want you to tell yourself, yep, of course, this is happening to me. This always happens to me. No, we don't ever want to play the victim card in a race. That gets us nowhere. So here's a good rule of thumb I like to stick by. And as someone whose life and career has been built around training, racing, running a coaching and fitness business, I mean, this is really everything that I love. I still tell myself when I start a training plan in preparation for a race, I acknowledge that sticking to this training plan will be a challenge. No matter how motivated and excited I feel right now in this moment, I know that when I commit right here, I'm stoked. However, there will be difficulties. And then I tell myself that I'm not making excuses, I'm not giving up, and I will show up on the days when I don't feel like it or when challenges arise. I then continue telling myself throughout the entire training cycle that every time I choose to push through my low-level feelings and opinions, that I strengthen my foundation of my mental toughness for race day. So every time I choose to work through the hard stuff, I just become stronger. It's like I'm reprogramming my brain. This is a hard day. I feel tired. I don't feel great. I probably shouldn't have eaten all that. Now my stomach hurts. Every time I choose to then push through that, I strengthen myself. And I instill a little bit more confidence about what I'm capable of doing. And so we get to work on that while we're training. We also get to work on that while we're in the middle of a race. So I strengthen my foundation of mental toughness for race day. If I wake up to train at 4:30 and I'm tired from a busy day before, I remind myself that at some point during a 200-mile race, my preference for race distance, that I'll be running tired. I remind myself that I will be pushing through the night, that my legs will hurt, maybe my feet too, that my stomach might feel nauseous, that my intestines might be revolting. I might not feel motivated to climb another mountain at mile 238. And then I say, aha, this is part of the training. For when I don't feel motivated, when I think I'm too tired to keep going, when I don't believe I'm strong enough or cut out for the race ahead of me, here in this moment at 4 a.m., I get to train my brain to believe that I can keep going. And so I do. And I've done this year after year, now decade after decade. And even though it's much more natural for me to respond this way, I'm still always looking to be better at it. It's something I can always grow in. Now, I don't expect any goal I set for myself to be easy. Not in the preparation, not in the actual training, and certainly not when it's time to push myself to maximum all-out effort to achieve the dream. I am prepared for the challenges. I have already planned my responses. I am surprised by nothing because I've studied it all, I've experienced it all, and I'm willingly ready for all of it. I have no fear. I don't search for the negativity. I look to the finish line with no doubt in my mind that I will finish. I will do what I set out to do, and no feeling or opinion has any weight to get in the way of that. So now, my friend, let me toss this back to you, because all my experiences in life, especially my failures, especially my setbacks and DNFs and physically painful miles, all of those would be in vain if I could not then see the good in them. And the good I see is that I get to help you. I get to encourage you, because if I can keep going, so can you. If I can overcome for 10, 20, 50, 100, 200, and 250 miles, so can you. I am not greater than you. I am not better than you. I am not one to be put on a pedestal, but I am your friend. And I hope that when you hit a hard moment in a race this year, that you remember my words. Expect those challenges. It's 100% part of your journey to the finish line. Do you understand that? The one thing that binds all of us together across all humanity, across all sports, across any goal industry, are the challenges and the pain in that journey. Do you understand that? When you understand that, when you're okay to embrace that, when you expect that as being 100% a part of the journey, it's so much easier to keep going because you don't fear it. It's just a matter of when it's going to come. And when it does come, I'm going to be prepared. When it does come, I'm going to have a set reaction because I already got these things in my toolbox. That's who you are. So don't forget that. Don't doubt the strength you have to overcome. Prepare now. And even if it's something you've never experienced, do not be surprised by it. Rather say, well, I was wondering when I get the opportunity to train myself in this situation. You know, you can kind of have fun with it. I know it doesn't feel fun when you're in that discomfort, but be above it. Well, I was wondering when you were going to show up. Look upon the challenge as a teacher, eager to add value to their profession. So a teacher reads, they research, a teacher goes to workshops and interacts with other teachers for ideas and information. No different is the unknown situation you'll encounter in a race. You're throwing up on the side of a trail. I get that. Yeah, you're not going to die, but you can say to yourself, okay, here we are. I know this is common in ultras, and I know tens of thousands of other runners have worked through it. So, I don't like how I feel, but I do know I won't feel this way forever. I'm going to walk. I'm going to take little sips of my water. I'm going to focus on the next aid station. Walking with a wrecked stomach is easy. Oh, look, here we go. 1 foot, 2 foot, Sip, sip of water. Look at that. I just buried 50 meters of the race course. Let's do that again. Little by little. You're in charge. You get to say how you respond. You get to pull out the mental tools and use whichever ones you want. And in this case, the challenges and the setbacks and that feeling of discomfort doesn't surprise you. You're not shocked by it. You're ready for it. You already planned what you were going to do. You already planned what you were going to do when you get a blister. You already planned what you were going to do when that storm rolled in. You already planned what you were going to do when you tripped over that rock and skinned your knee. You're ready for it. You're the master of your experience. You're the master of your reactions. 90% of how you react to everything that happens in that race is very powerful, and you get to dictate that. The race doesn't happen to you. The race also doesn't dictate whether or not it's going to be your day. You do. You get to choose whether or not it's going to be your day. Prepare now, expect the challenges, but only give life to what you want to achieve and not the obstacle in the way. Mental tool number 2, make it bite-sized. Make it bite-sized. Focus on 1 mile at a time instead of the entire race. If you're in an endurance race, tell yourself what you want to achieve in that mile. Maybe when you're in mile 18, there's a 300-meter climb. Have a goal for that mile 18 with that big climb. Tell yourself, I'm going to power hike. And while I'm power hiking, I'm going to eat a gel. And while I finish up that gel, and then I'm going to have some electrolytes. Be in that mile. Stay in that mile, because that mile is all you have. You can't control the last 17 miles. You certainly cannot control what is ahead. If you're racing a half marathon and you want to set a personal best, have a goal for every mile. Tell yourself, the first mile, I'm going to lock in with my pace group. The second mile, I'm eating a gel. Let's say mile 5 isn't going as planned. Don't freak out. Instead, tell yourself, okay, mile 5, I see you. Let's get to work. Maybe you need to slow down a bit. Work out that side stitch or get some electrolytes. You still have a lot of race left. And if you take care of yourself as best you can in that mile 5, instead of obsessing over your time or the other 8 miles, you will get discouraged. Keep everything bite-sized no matter how long the race. All you can control is what you are experiencing in that moment, not what is behind you, and certainly not what's ahead. Bite-sized moments lead you to a full day of achieving your dream. And I promise you, even those amazing PB races, personal best races, those are filled with surprises. So don't lose hope and don't obsess over trying to control the race. Number 3, visualize. Visualize yourself finishing the race strong. This is so powerful, and it's something that you can practice from the first day that you start training for the race. It's something that you can do when you are in the middle of a very challenging part of a race, or when you're really starting to feel low, you're starting to lose that hope. You are going to start to focus on something else. You're going to visualize what you want to do, even if it doesn't feel like that's happening or that it's possible. Let's not focus on the feelings. Let's visualize what you want to do. Visualize yourself finishing the race strong, even if you don't feel good. Have that picture in your mind. Lock that in. Visualize your boyfriend or your wife at the finish line. Maybe your kids standing there with a giant smile, just itching to give you a big hug. Envision how you want to feel when you walk back to your car with your own thoughts. Think about that. I've done this so many times. I actually did a little reel on this the other day. This visualization, this kind of goes hand in hand with it. But the title is just this one thing is what I told myself, or I asked myself throughout the race when things were really hard, what story do you want to tell after the race? And so that's a great question to ask yourself. What is it you want to tell? If you are the main character, you are now going to step outside of that main character role and now look at yourself from above the race. Okay? Look at yourself from the outside. You are now the writer of the story. And you get to say what the main character does. You get to say how the main character works through every challenge. Isn't that exciting? Just change the perspective, focus on something else, and go make it happen. Do you want to be proud of yourself? Then make that happen. Paint that picture in your mind, speak that into life, and make it happen. No matter what happens with your performance, no matter what happens with your finishing time, get to the finish line. Whether you do it with a limp or you're crawling, get to the finish line. And I'll say this again, you 100% can. That's one of the top questions athletes ask me when they're considering signing up for a race. Sally, do you think I could finish this race? Do you think I'm capable? Do you think I'm fit enough? Do you think I'm strong enough? Yes, yes, and yes. If I can envision it for you, if I believe it about you, why can't you? Why can't you believe that? Envision yourself crossing that finish line every single time you train, especially during your long runs. Envision it so much that it becomes real in your mind. And then when it comes time to stand at the start line, your brain is automatically going to know what to do. It's going to think, oh, hey, wait a minute. This is the place. This is the day. We are crossing the finish line. Yes, I've been waiting for this. I've been dreaming of this. We are going to make it happen. It will happen. I can't wait to hold that medal in my hands. Envision, especially when the challenges come, tell yourself, yep, it's uncomfortable right now, but I know what's ahead. There's a prize waiting for me, and I'm going to go get it. That's why I'm here. I'm going to keep going. Number 4, focus on breathing and running form. So for all of my listeners who need a tangible, you need something that you can hold with your hands, this one is for you. When you're uncomfortable, you're going to start at the top of your head and work down to your feet. And I know this sounds a little weird, but hang with me for a minute. You're first going to start by relaxing the muscles around your eyes. And then you're going to take a big deep breath in, and right when you think you can't breathe in anymore, you're going to breathe a little deeper, and then you're just going to let out a big ol' sigh. Now, you're not going to continue breathing like that, but just do that once, because initially, that's going to kind of set a little stress for you. It's going to relax you. It's going to kind of help you regain a little bit of control, especially if you're feeling overwhelmed by the discomfort. Then, continuing down the body, you're going to relax your shoulders. But you want to keep your arms going, okay? It's really easy when we are uncomfortable, when we're stressed out. We hold so much tension in our face and our shoulders. The shoulders come up. We kind of wince with our eyes and just our whole face. So you're going to relax. You're going to breathe. You're going to keep moving your arms. You're going to relax those shoulders. And you're going to relax, breathe, relax. Now you're going to lightly touch or just kind of pat your stomach. I know that sounds a little silly, but you're just going to do that. It's just like bringing it back to your center, really. So you're just going to get centered and just kind of that's your cue to pull it together. So just tap your stomach. You could even tap your thighs too, but just kind of tell yourself, okay, let's pull it together. Okay, so you're breathing. You're relaxing those muscles in your face and your shoulders. And now you give yourself a little pat and you just say, okay, square it up, pull it together. I can do this. Now, working on down, you're going to count your steps in groups of 3. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and keep it rhythmic. Even shorten your stride a little bit. Counting is so powerful. It immediately takes your focus onto something else, but try to stay rhythmic with your movement. This doesn't mean you need to pick up the pace, but just 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and count every single time that foot hits the ground. Keep a rhythm, shorten your stride, keep that torso tall and relaxed, swing the arms, and 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Keep counting, keep breathing. And look at that. You've just taken care of another kilometer of running. 2 minutes have gone by. If you're particularly uncomfortable, start from the top again. And you can just keep on repeating that. So you're focusing on your form. You're focusing on your breathing. You're doing a little bit of counting. You are taking your brain and making it focus on something else instead of, let's say, the blister on your toe, or how your stomach is feeling, or how hot it is outside. You're now going to hyper focus on your breathing, on relaxing your body, on counting your steps. The other thing that you can do is especially if you are uncomfortable, and this always helps, you can slow down to a walk. So if you need to walk, I would strongly encourage that you discipline yourself to only walk for a certain time before you start running again. And you can do this in intervals. So let's say that you tell yourself, okay, I'm going to walk for 40 seconds or 60 seconds, and then I'm going to run for 20 seconds or 30 seconds. And you just keep repeating that until the nausea passes or whatever it is that you're feeling. Sometimes the feeling of bonking, you're so far behind on calories or electrolytes, like your head is spinning and you're just like, dude, I'm not in this at all. Try this first. Allow yourself to walk for a set period of time, and then you got to keep running and keep doing that. But while you're doing that, take sips of electrolyte, take little tiny bits of calories, and keep doing that until you feel better. But the thing is that you are making your body, once again, focus simply on moving forward. So even if it's in a math equation way or in a structured pattern way, you're still moving forward. And that is the goal. The goal is to get to the finish line. And it's okay if you have these down moments in a race, especially the longer the race goes. Sometimes we have several of those, particularly 100K or 100 mile, 150 mile, 200. You're going to have a lot of those. So these are methods in which you can work through to ensure that you're still moving forward. Because moving forward, even if it's 30 seconds of walking or 1 minute of walking and 1 minute of running, you're still covering ground. And you're getting a lot closer to that finish line than if you were just sitting in an aid station complaining, or sitting in an aid station beating yourself up, or sitting in an aid station going through all of the reasons that you should drop out. You got to keep going. You got to keep moving. You are so much stronger than you think you are. And these are little things that you can do to check in with your body. Now, I really have to make sure, I always try to do this because I do understand that there are some things in races that we need to go to the hospital for. So rhabdo, bone sticking out of the skin, and even I'd like to say to athletes, if you're using a race because your A race is 6 weeks later, your A race is 8 weeks later, you do have to take these things case by case. I know for me, as I have worked through races throughout my entire career, I think back, I've had DNFs too, but there are certain races where I have purposely pushed through some really gnarly physical pain because that's how much the goal meant to me. And I was also able to read what the discomfort was. So is this a permanent injury that I'm causing myself? And so you have to take things piece by piece. But I always say sometimes the best thing you can do is just slow down so that you can fully assess really what's going on, because we can overwhelm ourselves. When we hit challenges, it's really easy to become immediately stressed out, anxious, and be negative. Just like I said at the beginning, once you start going down the negative slide, it's really hard to stop and climb back up. I don't know if you remember when you're a little kid and you go down one of those twisty slides. I mean, you really get going, right? And it's a lot harder to climb back up the slide. So don't let yourself go on the negative slide. Slow down, assess what's happening. I mean, I know that you've heard this too, but man, there are so many great stories of people achieving great things. after having overcome a bunch of adversity. Sometimes those are the greatest stories. So I just say, go write a really great story. How are you going to work through this? How are you going to keep going? It's okay if that low moment lasts a couple hours in a 100-mile race. That's okay. Keep working through it. And remember, every time that you work through something, you're getting stronger. You're setting yourself up for greatness. There is no warrior is great unless they've gone to battle. Having a practice fight back home does not compare to the real battle. And as athletes, when we stand at a start line, we don't know what is ahead for us. But the only way that you can see what you are truly capable of doing, what you are able to work through in order to get stronger, is you have to put yourself in those positions of discomfort, of challenges, and choose to work through them. So you have to tell yourself, okay, if this is a part of me achieving, if this is a part of me growing, if this is a part of me becoming great, the best version of myself, I'm going to work through it. Even if that means that I'm the last one to finish. You won't regret it. Friends, I want you to pack my mental tools into your toolbox for your next race or your next long run. I want you to bring these with you when you're working toward any goal. Because when you have the tools to know how to respond to any situation that comes your way, you're empowered. You're prepared. Preparation increases confidence, and preparing your mind is one of the most valuable things you can do for yourself as you work to achieve that next race or big goal in life. And if you're only going to take one tool from this podcast, I hope it's the first one. Expect challenges, but expect to overcome, because you can. I believe in you. I hope you believe in you too. And I want to thank you for listening today. Be sure to pass this one on to a friend who's gearing up for a race. This is also a great listen the night before a race or in that race week lead up. And I'll tell you what, it might be what you need if you're in the middle of a race as well, in the middle of that 100-mile or 200-mile race. So be sure to keep it in your downloads. Know that I'm always rooting for you. If no one has reminded you yet today, you are wonderful. And whatever you're working toward right now, I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you for trying. Even if this is a particularly hard week, you're doing great. So keep going and keep choosing strong in all you do.